I'm Melina Kazanjian, and I'll be sharing the immigration story of Kopi Sotiropulos on his behalf. Hi, I'm Kopi Sotiropulos, and I'm going to tell you my immigration story from Greece to America. I immigrated here in 1951. I was only 3.5 years old when I left Greece. The village that I immigrated from is called Simiadis. When I lived there, only a couple of hundred people lived there. Now, only about 50 people or less live there. To get to America, we took a boat. The boat was called Nia Alas. We took this boat to New York City, followed by a train to Chicago, then to Sacramento, and finally a bus from Sacramento to Fresno, California. Total, the trip took 18 days. We finally officially arrived on Christmas Eve, 1951. We decided to immigrate to Fresno because my father had a sister who had lived in America since 1924. Her husband at the time lived in Fresno and owned a coffee shop there called Cafe Neo. After a while, her husband took his money and left to go back to Greece to go into business with his brother at a grocery store in a city called Tripoli. While in Greece, he married my aunt, and after a couple of years, they decided to move back to America in 1924, as I previously stated. He then worked for the railroad, and after he retired, they moved to Fresno in 1948. In 1951, my aunt and uncle did the paperwork to move us over as displaced persons. They did this because Greece had just gone through World War II and a civil war, and they wanted to bring us to America for a better life. We decided to immigrate to America because of World War II. Greece had been occupied by the Germans for many years, which resulted in a lot of death and destruction. Following World War II, there was a civil war in Greece between the Communists and the Democrats, which resulted in a lot of strife, battles, and death. Thankfully, the Americans intervened and helped the Greeks win to beat the Communists, which helped us to remain a free country. If not for America, Greece may have become part of the communist bloc with Russia. We left very soon after all of this because too much damage had been done and we needed a better life as soon as possible. I immigrated to America with my father Vasilios, my mother Anastasia, and my brother Pete, who at the time my mother was still pregnant with. At the time, family that was left behind included my dad's brother, several sisters, and their children who lived in Simiadis, Tripoli, and Athens. So total, about 10 to 12 cousins were left behind, plus my aunts and uncle. Times were rough for them, after all this death and destruction, because they were farmers and merchants. But following World War I, there wasn't a whole lot left to do with that. My grandfather was a merchant, so he was very well off and had a nice house with a factory and courtyard, etc. that had to be left behind. My father left everything for his brother, because we could only take so much with us. We left with nothing but our clothes and a debt to pay back from our trip to come to America. Immigrating to America, I can assume, was not the easiest thing for my family to do. I say assume because I was only about 3 years old. However, it was difficult because my family and I only knew one language, Greek. Speaking on behalf of my parents, trying to figure out how to communicate to get all the way to Fresno, somehow when none of us spoke this foreign language, English, was probably very difficult, I can imagine. We luckily came with our papers, which is what had to be done at the time, so that you wouldn't be a debt on society and have to rely on the government to support you. If you were an illegal immigrant, you would be sent back. Coming to America, although we had limited knowledge, we knew that it would be better than where we were. Also, upon arrival, my dad already had a job because my uncle had already signed him up to be a laborer, which was very helpful in kickstarting our new lives. I attended Fremont Elementary School, and at first I didn't know how to speak English. However, I quickly learned because I had to. In order to prosper and be successful, I knew that I needed to learn the language, or there'd be no getting by. I saw my kindergarten teacher about 20 years ago, and I asked her how I got by despite not knowing English. She told me that within 6 months, I was fluent with the rest of the kids, and that I easily picked it up due to submerging myself into it. The best part of coming to America is that we had an opportunity to lead and live a better life and reach our full potential, go to school, and live in a country that gave us opportunities to achieve our goals if we worked hard. Basically, being in America gave us the opportunity to achieve the American dream. The first time I went back to Greece since I immigrated here was in 1971, after I finished college. That was about 20 years after we had immigrated here. Now, we, my wife Elaine and I, and my kids, Vasily and Anastasia, and other family and friends sometimes, depending on the occasion, go back to Greece pretty frequently. Every time I go back to visit, I'm sure to make a stop at my home village in Simiadis. Living in America has provided me with a wonderful lifestyle, a chance to get a good education, to pursue my dreams, and pursue a career that I thoroughly enjoy. However, none of this would have been possible if it wasn't for my education. Education is very important, and it gives you an opportunity to use your full potential, to do the best that you can for yourself and for your family. All through grade school, I lived in Fresno. For college, I went to several schools. I started out at Fresno City, and then I moved to Los Angeles. In Los Angeles, I attended Los Angeles City and then Los Angeles State. After that, I moved to San Francisco and attended San Francisco State. I graduated from there with a bachelor's in communication. After graduating, I lived in Visalia. And after I got married to my wife Elaine, I lived in Los Angeles for 10 years. There I pursued my acting career from 1977 to 1987, and then we moved back to Fresno. And after several years off, I resumed my television career as a news anchor and weatherman on KMPH. Although I live in America, that hasn't lessened how much I embrace my culture still. Being Greek and embracing my culture and heritage is a big and important part of my life and who I am. I attend St. George Greek Orthodox Church in Fresno weekly. We still speak Greek, Greek dance, cook and bake Greek foods and pastries, eat Greek foods and pastries, such as baklava, and although we maintained our culture, we assimilated into the American culture to take advantage of what America offers anybody that wants to assimilate in the culture, work hard, and be successful. Currently, I co-anchor and do the weather for KMPH in the morning on Great Day. We were very lucky and truly blessed to be able to move to America and live the lives my family and I have led and are currently leading. I have 15 cousins still in Greece, and although we all lead great lives and have wonderful lifestyles, it's much more difficult for them in Greece. Here, thankfully, we have unlimited opportunities and are able to do just about whatever we want with hard work. I'm living evidence of this since I have achieved and accomplished great things and am now living the American dream. None of this would have been possible if it wasn't for all my hard work, perseverance, and having moved here to America, the land of opportunity, all of those years ago. And now, remember, have a great day!